Hello everyone. A quick note on why it's very important for women to even become more self-aware more quickly become self-aware than men. And what that means is a woman creates a space for a man to understand himself in ways of his opposite polarity. And so a man also has such a position for a woman too. So it's very important to see that there's a reason why looks are being emphasized by life right now and why people are paying attention to their looks, especially women. It's because the attention needs to be there, but not on the looks, but on who is looking to whatever some being looks like. It's very important for us to acknowledge ourselves existentially before we bring in ideology to mask our faces. When you look in the mirror, you will see a picture of your face, and if you are not content with your image, you will begin having a story immediately come up, and in that story there will be an insufficient character and there will be depression. So if you let a story manifest out of what you think your image is, there will be turbulence. But you do not need to have that kind of manifestation of image. Because once you look in that mirror, there's also an aspect of you that is silently observing, that is silently watching, and that observance is where your truth has an allowance to be seen outside of the noise that is making you uncertain whether it's true or not. Comparison and spectrum give individuality a place. And in that place, we choose how much we want to shape things. We do have free will, but at times our free will is from the influence of our other choices. So it's like we have free will, but we're also affected by the choices we've made before. And so the freedom that one seeks should be the knowing that one has by just being present in life, by being alive in the way that they are. And as you are, you will realize that the power is not an idea. Power was never in the shape of an idea. And so as women, especially women, do not get so obsessed with looks to then make the men also, because men, follow the woman. For the men to also go and, work on their looks. Instead, if there's self-awareness and tolerance for whatever being to be present with you, you will see that in that tolerance, you have given permission to see something new about that person. So that woman who you were, for example, constantly chasing for a certain outcome, once you stop, you begin to see that there was something more to her gaze. In the sense that there's one view where, oh, look, that looks nice, I look nice, everything looks nice. There's that kind of view. And there's also that view where you realize this looks nice, not because of how it looks, just because of what is existing in the moment. It's like the awareness of the moment makes it a profound sense of realization, in which man and woman can co-create, and these energies, in a sense, we call it energy, which is, our playful way of working with clay, or changing the abstraction into clay. And in doing so, the sounds that we hear are our teachers. Once you take yourself to a certain state of observance, self-observance, it doesn't matter what you do, you are constantly learning because you are observing. It's like you're having the intelligence of the observer rather than the object of observance. And so your clarity is becoming that knowing before you could even know. That knowing that gives you the capacity to know. And it's innate, it's intuitive, and intuition should not be covered with abstract ideology like, ooh, it's so spiritual or whatnot. Intuition is your relationship with your existence. And as you become aware of it, its flow and allowance to be expressing in reality becomes more of an intuitive action. So your trust in life is increasing, and in that increase, you were never decreasing. The pearls of understanding are at first hidden, but it is up to man to break that oyster. This is some seafood poetry right here. Women will lead men to an understanding that they've always had innately. Similar to how men look a certain way and women look a certain way. Similarly, that feminine energy has a certain way, a certain presence, and that male energy has a certain presence. And there's a reason these polarities are placed, because they create the spectrum for what is the intelligence of mankind to communicate and co-create. Allow yourself to look at yourself clearly. And sometimes looking at yourself clearly doesn't mean you have to see an image. You don't have to see something there. You don't have to have someone who has a purpose, who knows it all. But you need to acknowledge the value and honor the presence that is there. That is you. You need to see that you are divine attention. You are existential manifestation. You are a form among forms. And so who is telling you you're not informed? Who is telling you that you do not have the realization which you seek? Rumi has a very powerful quote, and he says, what you seek is seeking you. Rumi is a Sufi mystic poet, a very realized being who was alive 1,000 years ago, or close to that time. And what this all suggests is that as our need for a certain image or shape of ourselves in a certain stage fades, as the actor suddenly becomes aware of the act, you will see that it will be a sudden shock where for one instant you're just looking as if like, gosh, am I really doing all this stuff? And why am I doing this stuff? That moment becomes clear to you that it has been all based on an external dependency. Your looks and your projection in the social system is one where you are working with an individual image and you're trying to sustain an individual image. And not that it's not important to sustain individual imagery, but just there needs to be an understanding that the image is not your definition. That you're not bound to the space and time suggested by the storyteller's voice, whoever that may be. And once you begin to take existential responsibility, you begin to see that you are the storyteller even. And as you are the storyteller, you begin being responsible for anything that comes into your awareness. It could be random sounds. It could be a great vision. It could be the most abstract thing that no one's ever seen. And so self-discovery will occur when you discover something about your reality which is suggesting the vastness of self, the depth of self. And in that you have a clarity where there is no longer an incapable or inefficient or incomplete person in front of the mirror. There's no longer a person or a persona, but you have become the existential presence you are, and you stand in the comfort and calm of eternity. This eternity is not an eternity where I'm telling you you are like an eternal being, magical being, some kind of thin, transparent, you know, kind of like astral type being. It is not that kind of introduction to the unseen. Its introduction is that you are unseen. So what is convincing you about your sight, and why are you so convinced about how you look or what condition you are? When there's unknown factors in the system, the certainty in the system can never just come from what's defining it as the system. It has to come from beyond it, and so you must give yourself the perception that will change your life. And you give it not by taking things or trying to go and read all the books in the world, by paying attention to the life that you are. And so once the life process shifts from being a certain process which is being linearly interpreted, you will begin to see that the dance of existence was always between chaos and order. And so the knowing of man was always for mankind, and the knowing of mankind was always for the cosmos. Much blessings and namaste.